Welcome everyone. Again, we are talking today about the feedback, and this is our third session in how to build your portfolio. So, as we said before, we have a list of things to do, and this is summary of the list. And we talked before about these two topics, and today we'll talk about all these topics. So, it's not that difficult. It's easy, and all what you're gonna do is same work you are doing, but you will ask for a feedback, and this will um, improve your practice and same time evidence all what you've done in the work. So let's start now, and as we agreed every time, we'll talk about these 4 points. Who will do this for you, and what exactly will be done, what template to use, and when or which area in your career you need to cover, and does it need to be formal or informal, or which way will go for this. So who will do this? Everyone around you, anyone, your seniors, your peer colleagues, porters, nurses, patients, even yourself. Now, which template or what to fill, we will show you in the next slide. And when, ideally, if you are applying for CESR, you will need to cover 3 to 5 years. So minimum is 3 years, and preferably 5 years. Before this, if you are bringing evidence before 5 years, you need to support it with something recent. So you don't give me, for example, an ultrasound sign-off course since 7 years, and there is no evidence that you are doing ultrasound recently. Okay, so coming to the last one, either formal or informal, both are accepted, and both there is this, space for them in your portfolio. Now let's see the examples we have. So annual appraisal is the first one, and annual appraisal, there is some hospital will um, be part of your annual retention of work or the contract renewal to have an appraisal, a formal one, and some hospital they don't have this. So if you are working out of UK and you don't have appraisal, approach one of your seniors and ask him to run an appraisal for you. I don't think anyone will say no for this, but try to get an appraisal annually, once per year, and to find out what points to improve. Try to be genuine about it, and to be honest, because this is the way you will improve yourself, by getting the feedback. Character letter and reference letter. This will be taken by you from your consultant or senior doctors you worked with currently or before. Structured reference letters. This is kind of the form. It will be available on the Royal College websites. Okay, same as Education Structure Review, ESR. So this kind of forms we'll talk about shortly. Now, other examples we have is the thanks letter from colleagues. And this is one of the easy thing. And again, you need to be honest about this. So if one of your colleagues give a lecture and you think it's a nice one or organized systemic one, it's no harm to send him a thanks letter. Okay, if he covered one of your shifts, or there was a shortage and he volunteered to come to cover, so you'll send him a thanks letter, and the same will do for you if you done something like an education or project, or any nurses orientation or induction lectures. So try to find ways to benefit each other. Okay, again, it's a win-win situation. When you give an education, what evidence of this education you provide to the college? Like if you are applying for CESR or applying for specialist registration, you need to reinforce or emphasize the fact that you are giving teaching. How you prove this? Slides of the lecture will be one, way. If you have if you send an email announcement about the lecture, this is second one, and third, and the most important is the feedback from the audience and the attendee. So if you are providing one of them, it will not be that strong evidence. But if you're providing the three, like before, during, and after. So before the lecture, you send an announcement. During the lecture, there is slides, and after the lecture, the feedback. Coming to the next point, which is multi-source feedback and 360-degree. These are forms available in some hospital or some trusts or agencies, and not available in the others. Again, there is, it's not a Quran, it's not a Bible. So any generic form will do. If you have a form in your hospital, well and good. Otherwise, you can Google it and you'll find loads of multi-source feedback or 360-degree, and you can fill this with co-workers around you. Testimonials will be from a colleague or peer review, for example, like one of your trainees or one of the registrars working with you can ask to give you like it will be a reference letter, but it will be from someone most senior to you. And finally, and it's this most important, and it's um, a weakness point, if I can say this, in our practice. We don't reflect on our practice. We, even if you do this, you don't put this on paper. So if you attended course or you've seen management of a case or you attended workshop and you think there is, or you even Google new information or stays up to date, all of the reflection, if you even write 2 lines of reflection, that show you example, what you've learned, how this will affect your practice. Are you gonna, are you planning to do a summary of the evidence and present it as a lecture? So um, let's start now with so the sources from where you can collect the feedback. As we mentioned a minute ago, it will be your supervisor or the customers. In our situation, will be our patients. It will be from your peers or your colleagues. If you have appraisal officer, he can do this for you, and in this include yourself as well. Bear in mind that we are not aiming to prove that we are genius and we are perfect and we are superheroes outstanding. We are there to improve ourselves. So I start this just to prove myself, to collect feedback, and I notice that I'm improving. Like when I ask anyone for feedback, I ask him honestly, give me your feedback. And when he highlight any defect, this is a very good opportunity for me to reflect on my practice and improve. Most of the evidence will be anonymized if we are collecting like multi-source feedback or 360-degree. If it is a reference letter, there is no need for anonymization because he's one of your seniors and he most of the time he could be contactable. And I don't think anyone will again will refuse or be reluctant to give you a reference letter if you work with. It need to be objective. It shouldn't be like uh, some unreal description of you or non-honest letter. So it should be a genuine one. It should be honest and stating the truth. Uh, Now, I've seen a lot of like tickets or work assessment or annual appraisal, and there is no comments. Really, it looks very weak and like fake, kind of. But if there is an action plan or there is a comment or there's examples of the practice, this will give it more like real or vivid picture, you know. It should cover again your competencies, like if you are senior enough and I've seen your appraisal or the feedback and there is nothing commenting on your leadership or your management and teaching and like rota making, what is the non-clinical part of your work. So you are not only clinician, you should be a leader, or you should be managing the department. So I need to see this in written. So we'll start with ARCP, and ARCP is the appraisal, or in other words, the annual review of the competencies progression, how you are progressing with your competencies. Bear in mind, like if you are providing the ARCP or the annual appraisal for 3 or 5 years, and you start from the year or first year, and you're scoring 100% of everything, it doesn't make sense. So leave space for improvement. Again, we'll talk about now the junior doctors. You can start from now, and don't be like upset if your supervisor gave you like satisfactory or below average in some of the points. This is the area where you need to focus if you really want to improve yourself. Okay, so and it shouldn't be left without a comment or action points, and ask for it specifically. Ask your consultant, please give me an action point to improve, and this will, again, as we said, it will look more real and more genuine, and at the same time it will help you to improve. So this is the appraisal. If you don't have formal one, you can take the form and start doing it. Um, it will be a good habit if you like you are 3 or 4 doctors in the same hospital to agree to the same format or same template. Like it doesn't make sense um, if I'm an assessor and I'm seeing 2 or 3 format or template coming from same hospital. It doesn't make sense. So next we'll talk about the 360. Actually, the 360, it's like from literally, it's from all around you. So from your peer and from your colleagues, your trainees, your seniors and juniors, everyone around you. And again, this include yourself. So it's a generic form again. There is nothing much like creativity in it to be assessment. And again, if there is a comment, giving it much credibility. So bear in mind, this form will be anonymized. So you should not know who is writing it, or you shouldn't you know yourself. So the way I do it, I print it. If you don't have an appraisal officer, so I print it and I distribute it to the my colleagues, and I tell them, listen, this is the my box. You can keep whenever you fill it, you can keep it in the box, and by this way, you are free to say whatever you like. So this is the way I do it myself. Okay, I will try to attach the templates later in the description. Coming to an easy one as well, which is thanks letter, and we talked about the thanks letter before. And as we said, if you present a lecture or organize a workshop or give an online meeting or even a course preparation, so your colleagues will thank you for this. Or if you done the same for them, cover them there in a shift, or um, done any like work with assessment for any of your colleagues. So this is the ways we do it. Like you give the feedback, and he will give you feedback at some stage as well. Again, as we said, it's a win-win situation, and we need to collaborate to each other with each other to sort this. Now, coming to the other side of the equation, which is our customers, which is our patients. So their voice will be in the form of, if they give you a thanks letter or thanks note or gift card, or if you ask them to fill for you a patient survey. There is a lot of forms in this one, and it will be easy and take 2 or 3 minutes. So, and this could be again done by you, or if there is any appraisal office, he will select like a random sample of the patients you have seen, and they will give them the form to fill it. Um, Now coming to the next one, which is teaching feedback. As we mentioned before, this is the most reliable one on the assessing what you have done on your lecture. So it will take 2 minutes at the end of the lecture and asking people to comment on everything, what they think about the lecture you gave or the material or using of the uh, multimedia or the PowerPoint slides. It's a nice one as well if you send to them by email, like a monkey survey or what we call Google Forms. Ask them to fill the questionnaire for you. Again, it will be simple questions, and the feedback will look much nicer and stylish if you done it in this Google Forms or monkey survey. This statistics will be done by the application or the website itself. You don't need to do it yourself. Coming to the next point, which is the testimonials and multi-source feedback. And we talked about the testimonial before, but the point I want to highlight here is the aspects need to be covered. Ideally, pick 2 or 3 of these ones. Like if you gave this to one of your colleagues, ask him, see what you can find in me, or what do you think you could talk about of these ones. Um, Ask him to lie. No, I'm joking. So just comment on my leadership or comment on my punctuality, and like again, it need to be honest. Doing this, if someone doing it for you or you are doing it for someone, and feel free to say, I'm sorry, I cannot do this for you if you think that it's not the right thing to do. So don't be like shy to say no if you think it's not the right to be done. Multi-source feedback, it's like there's no much difference between it. As far as my understanding, and 360, again, you will give it to your colleagues and ask them to fill it. Ideally, you need like of the multi-source feedback, like 12 to 15 per year. Okay, um, if possible, like took it like 10 per year for 3 years. I think this will be enough. And the last thing we'll talk about today will be the reference and reflection. Reference from your consultant, and it just will need to mention the time you worked with and what was your rule and the aspects of the comment. Ideally, if there is examples, this would be great. Like it will give it more credibility and like sense of reality as well. Uh, so the reference letters, anyone will be happy to do this, even if you ask one of the nurse managers or CNM, she can write you a reference letter as well. And the last one we talk about today is the reflection. And I don't find a difficulty in this. Like this need no validation, and you will not ask anyone for any favor. You will not be embarrassed to ask yourself to write for yourself a reflection about yourself. So it's not that difficult. So if you attended course or seen any workshop, or even you read an article or study, so you can write 2 lines of reflection. This is a bit too much, the example I'm giving to you now. Uh, but you can write 2 lines, only 2 lines about any course or workshop or case happened with you or happened with your colleague, and you learned something new or something changed in your practice, or you plan to do a course or workshop or journal club about this. Thank you. I try to make this concise as much as I can, and feel free to leave comments and ask questions. And I'm sorry again for for the delay. So at any time, feel free to ask questions, uh, and recommend um, next session what we're gonna do. I'll see your recommendation and I'll take it from there. Thank you.